Thank you very much, dear panelists. Not only have you provided us with unique insights, but you also played by the rules. So I'm particularly grateful. Thank you so much. Now, without any introduction, without any attempt to summarize whatsoever, over to you. This is your time for questions, comment. Please make the maximum out of it. The next 15 minutes are yours.
Hi, my name is Koray Yedik. I'm the Secretary General for Turkish Tourism Investors Association. I'm a hotelier, and also I'm an advisor to the Tourism Assembly at Union in Turkey. My question goes to Hiran. This is the first time I hear about Sri Lanka one-stop shop. Although it takes 4 years in India to get the permit for a hotel development, each and every investor, for a fact I know from my association, wants to go and invest in India. Because on BBC, on Al Jazeera, on CNN, you always see incredible India. So what percent of your tourism revenue goes to marketing and promotion? I'm glad I registered to this conference, so first time I hear about Sri Lanka one-stop shop. Okay.
Your question was what percentage of revenue goes into marketing and promotion? Okay, in Sri Lanka we have another unique concept where we contribute 1% of our turnover into development fund. That is, all those who are registered with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority contributes 1% of our turnover. It's an act of parliament, so it is now law. And that money comes straight from the treasury into the development authority. And of that, 70% of the funds are used to promote the destination, which is, I mean, roughly last year's collections was about $12 million, and 70% of that goes into promoting the destination. And like Ron said, we have identified 6 countries as our main source markets. The 3 I mentioned, UK, Germany, France, in Europe. India, of course, being our neighbor, there is tremendous potential from India as an inbound destination. China and the Middle Eastern countries. These are the 6 countries that we are really targeting to bring in the tourists. So for the moment, we've just focused on those countries to get our main business.
This is Chandra from Nepal. My question goes to Mr. Hiran. At certain point of time, you mentioned something about Nepal, and I was quite tempted to listen about that part of your presentation, but throughout the presentation, perhaps you have missed that part, that episode. So could you please explain that part? Yeah. What exactly, with your observation, out of Nepal and out of something which you like to
Thanks for bringing that up. As I sat down, I realized I... Okay.
Oui, bonjour. Alors, je remercie tous les panélistes pour ces communications extrêmement intéressante. Je suis Sanoko, je suis du Mali. J'ai une question qui s'adresse à M. Ron Hepburn, qui a parlé de vendre ou de construire l'image des marques des pays qui le sollicitent, qui sollicitent son bureau. J'aimerais en savoir davantage. Je comprends très bien pourquoi l'image de marque d'un pays peut jouer de façon positive sur l'attraction exercée sur les visiteurs, les touristes potentiels. Est-ce qu'il pourrait élaborer sur un success story en la matière, particulièrement en Afrique? Merci.
If we could have few more mic, that would be helpful, actually.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Farooq Subhan. I'm from Bangladesh. I had a private sector think tank. We actually have our Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation at the conference. I suspect he's lost somewhere because he should have been here today and learned from some of the brilliant expositions we just heard. I'd really like to congratulate all the speakers. Bangladesh had a slogan when we became independent back in 1971, discover Bangladesh before the tourists do. 40 years later, we are still using that slogan because no tourist seems to have discovered Bangladesh. Even though we're the home of the Royal Bengal tiger, we have the most probably impressive deltaic region in the world. Maybe this is an area where Turkey, which has become one of our leading development partners in the last 3 years, can look at instead of some of the other areas. The paradox, of course, is that all the hotels are full, and 40 years later, whilst the foreign tourists haven't discovered Bangladesh, our own tourists have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, back to the panel for a moment. I will ask, first of all, I will ask you, Ronald, maybe to give a concrete example, as asked by the representative from Mali, a concrete example of one of these successes in terms of marketing, and then go to Iran to ask him to elaborate a little bit more on Nepal. And then I will ask, if I may, Under Secretary Kemal, what kind of advice will you give to Bangladesh? Bangladesh clearly is struggling to try to have a success story as yours. What kind of advice will you give them? Please, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Is that working? Yeah. The example I have really is the South African example. They started from a position of actually having a lot of tourists coming from the UK and Europe already. Is that not working?
No, it's not on. It's on now. It's on now.
It's on now. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Too far away. Start again. Shall I start again? Yes, okay. The example I have is South African tourism. Where they had a very well-developed tourist industry, but what they realized was that they had this huge vista of opportunity to introduce people to various bits of their country, but actually only people were only going really to Cape Town and to the Kruger. I mean, I'm simplifying matters somewhat, but broadly speaking, that was the issue. And so we spent quite a lot of time developing a campaign which would move people away from just Cape Town. And I mean, this is clearly a problem that many countries have. I mean, the UK has this problem. I think 90% of all first-time visitors to the UK go to London and go nowhere else. So this is not uncommon, especially the more you develop. The campaign that came out of the discussions that we had around the positioning was a thing called the Coordinates Campaign. Whereby we established that it was only in South Africa that you could get all of the things that South Africa could offer. You could go to other places and see rhino and hippo and bison. You can go to other places to see great white sharks, but you can only go to a certain number of places. You can only go one place to see Cape Town, to see Table Mountain and these sort of things. And the marketing strategy that came out, I don't know whether you may or may not be familiar with it. They gave cameras and GPS systems to some of the better photographers of South Africa and sent them around the country with these GPS just to take photographs of fantastic opportunities. And this is why it was called the Coordinates Campaign, because in the end they were illustrating stuff that was happening, whether it was cultural or countryside or beasts or the people. And in each case, they demonstrated exactly what the coordinates were, the longitude and latitude, that you could actually see that thing happening at that moment in time. It was a very successful campaign and did expand the movement of people around South Africa that were already coming in. I don't know whether that answers your question, but that's...
Anything about Nepal, my apologies for that. What I wanted to say also was that Nepal, similarly like Sri Lanka, is now benefiting from the cessation of hostilities in the country, and Nepal is a magnet for adventure lovers. I mean, anyone who wants to climb mountains or anything, it's just the Himalayas, and it's a magnificent country. But unfortunately, there is still not enough focus from the government, and there remains infrastructure issues. So attracting foreign investment, you'll require that commitment from the government to improve that infrastructure, because Nepal, in my mind, is one of the most beautiful countries that I've ever seen, and I love to go there again and again. But the infrastructure really is lagging there, and commitment to improve that will see tremendous growth in tourism in Nepal.